Yeah, this year's Upfronts, I think, is officially well underway. I mean, on today's taping date, the IAB NewFronts presented, including big players like Tubi TV. I think what we've been seeing is going back to last year during the pandemic, there was a lot of analysis happening. Obviously, the brands impacted a lot of media spend in terms of pausing campaigns and then recalibrating what their creative strategy is. And in that, you also had this media consumption change, right, where streaming really exploded and live TV without sports really struggled. So there's probably some structural change that is taking place in this year's upfronts. And in preparation for that, I think a lot of brands that are leaning in with cross-screen measurement are able to understand who they're actually reaching and how often on linear, and then being able to look at audiences and not just demographics. It gives you also the actual number of people you're not reaching, right? So if you're really trying to reach 34 and under audiences, you might not be hitting many GRPs at all on a weekly basis, monthly basis. So your CTV strategy becomes not just a part of the mix or an experiment or a nice to have, but becomes core strategy for media planning moving forward. And I think this year's upfronts are very much going to be focused on what the opportunities are for marketers to really embrace the platform, and not just because it's like digital, it's because it has unique content experiences, viewing experiences, interactive and creative ad units that don't exist in traditional TV. And then there is, of course, the ability to do a lot more audience related profiling, targeting, and then measurement becomes something that is a lot more close to real time than we've had in the past with TV. So there's a lot of changes and a lot of, I think, very aggressive pitches from all the big players in CTV around this. And then the big traditional programmers that now also have very important streaming platforms, they're trying to create the holistic pitch, the true cross-screen pitch, where it's linear plus CTV, and that really creates a lot of opportunities that didn't exist in previous years when they were separate, right? Last year, going about this time, I don't even think Peacock was launched yet. Discovery Plus wasn't out yet. Paramount Plus in its combined form wasn't out yet. So this is also now the first year with all these massively built up platforms that are owned by the traditional TV media companies that are being combined with a return to normal in live linear with sports.
So Jay, tell us a little bit about how LiveRamp works with the AVOD player like Tubi. Sort of, explain a little bit, how that works and the value you bring to the equation.
Yeah, LiveRamp is very uniquely positioned in the way in that we cover some of the core parts of the ecosystem that are very much in flux and required right now. So if you take a look at things like identity, it's obviously a huge issue in digital, but it's also one that is really core to television. As television becomes a household with multiple devices and consumption, you need a sense of identity that matches and is interoperable, right? So a brand like Tubi, when it's creating customer accounts, it does have an idea of who's watching. That's the only way you can create customized playlists and surface recommended viewing and things of that nature. So that identity has to be able to work with a brand's identity or a agency holding company's identity. And that's the only way that you can get targeting and data to be able to move around. So that's one of the areas that we play a pretty big and important role in, is really helping create that interoperability with identity. The other place is really trying to help the buy and the sell side embrace new measurement, right? So the data plus math platform, which has been a part of LiveRamp going on 2 years here, coming up in July, is very much front and center in helping both the buyers and the sellers understand cross-screen incrementality, and most importantly, actual business outcomes. What campaigns, what creative, what mix is driving the most optimal reach and frequency curves that are leading to the most optimal business outcomes. And then the other area is activation, right? So LiveRamp's advanced TV platforms that started off in MVPD linear addressable, and we've talked about that here with the Beat team in the past. is now extending into programmer addressable, so the things that are happening on VOD, and then also CTV, right? So if you look at Tubi as a part of Fox, right? Fox has obviously big live linear business and networks. It also is doing things in VOD addressable in partnership with MVPDs, and then it also has Tubi, and then it has Fox content that's distributed to other CTV platforms. So if you look at all those assets for Fox, how do you apply data and forecast across all these different inventory types in a way that allows them to very much more efficiently work with an agency or an advertiser? So that activation flow is really important. And then it all ties back together in a nice flywheel when measurement can actually inform what the next audience strategy should be, right? So if you take a look at who you reached, what the attribution was, that can give you an idea of, well, we were underserving this particular audience, or we didn't reach this audience of expiring leaseholders. So we need to come up with a different media plan that will actually reach those people because we didn't get them with the existing plan. And being able to forecast that accurately will then give them the ability to go back to the advertiser and cut that deal and then measure it again.